and blessings. This is James Sutton on Road to Recovery. We're here to help talk about issues that will reduce stigma related to addiction, mental health, and returning citizens. Today, my special guest is Beth Harbinson, who has an amazing story that she's going to share with us today. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you, James.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am in recovery from alcoholism, 15 years, and it has been a road to recovery, really has been. In 2018, I started a nonprofit called Sobar, and Sobar is a play on the word sober and bar, which is they're not two words we usually associate together, right? We think of a bar as a place where you drink alcohol. But we think of a bar as a place to have fun and a place to have choice around what you drink. So I started this project in 2018, and we're kind of in a very exciting place, envisioning our future. And I'm excited to share more about that with y'all today.
Oh, great. Thank you. Now, I've noted that we have a lot of recovery businesses. I've had people on the show that started recovery houses, treatment centers, nursing homes, recovery media businesses where they print T-shirts that have recovery insignias, recovery jewelry. But you're the first that had a recovery food item. So this is really interesting. And matter of fact, we had a young lady who was in a group who started a recovery tailgate party at the University of Maryland.
Oh, love it.
In housing, because they didn't have a recovery, dormitory. So people were drinking, and this lady was in recovery, and she was saying that, it wasn't conducive to recovery, the environment. So they went about starting sober housing on University of Maryland. So your type of business, is right in line with what young people are doing today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And colleges are actually one of the many places that we hope to be in the future, because if you think about it, we all have a need to eat and drink, right? We have to do that to sustain our bodies, our physical bodies. And in the past, I think that drinking certainly has been associated with alcohol. When you say you're going to go drinking or you're going to go out and party, alcohol is always an element of that. And Sobar was really started to reduce the stigma and shame around alcoholism, but also to celebrate the fact that alcohol does not have to be part of the celebration. And it's really become a project where I've learned more than I knew coming in. But certainly part of it was that alcohol is so central to what we all think of when we think of a party. And part of our mission is to change that, is to kind of reverse the paradigm, if you will, that, a party and celebration is about a party and celebration, and that it does not have to be alcohol centric.
Right. So did you come up with this? This is your brainstorm. Did you invent this? Or
Yeah.
You did. Fantastic.
I guess I invented it. So the history of it is that I was in Florida, and I was down there, and I was with my son, and we were close to the beach, and I could hear this booming bass, what you associated with, high energy music. And we walked towards the beach, and I saw thousands of people on the beach playing volleyball, and lights and music, and like the vibe was great. And I said to him, "What's going on?" And he said, "That's sober beach volleyball." And I said, "Oh my God, that's what I want to bring to Maryland." So that was kind of the first seed of the idea. And then the second kind of inspiration, if you will, was at Merriweather Post Pavilion, which is a large outdoor concert venue here in Columbia, Maryland, near where I live. And some friends of mine and I had VIP passes for a concert, and you kind of go to a backstage area, and there's this beautiful bar, and it's backlit, and it's just like really cool looking. And I go up, and my friends that I was with that evening drink alcohol, so they ordered a beverage. And when I got to the bar, I said to the bartender, what are my choices? I don't drink alcohol. And he said, well, you can have soda, water, or Red Bull. And I said, well, I don't want to be up all night. So, I kind of made up this drink, and I left that experience feeling deflated. And I felt like I want the drink with the cool looking umbrella in it that has pretty colors, but I also want it to be something delicious and healthy. I don't want to drink bar mixers, which is kind of what people who don't drink alcohol are relegated to when they go up to a bar and order a drink, right? You're going to get something with high fructose corn syrup or something high in sugar, or soda, which has lots of chemical additives and things that I don't choose to drink. So I thought, what if there was something healthy, interesting, and zero alcohol at events for people who don't drink? And that's when I kind of started to think about this concept more seriously.
Right. And that's a good point, that as people mature in recovery, not only do they get away from, substances like that are not healthy for your body, drugs and alcohol, but also a lot of people start getting into natural foods and eliminating sugar and foods that can be damaging to your health. So look for healthier lifestyles. So a lot of times there's the very limited choices when you go out to have fun with your family. Healthy snacks and healthy drinks are limited in a lot of locations. So it's good that you beginning to make more healthy choices available to the public.
Thanks. And I think where my awareness has really been raised is, initially it was that we really need to have Sobar for people in recovery. And as you know, that first 18 months in recovery, the brain is healing too. And it can easily be triggered by an image of whatever it is, your drug of choice, your drink of choice, where you don't even know what you've seen, but the brain circuitry is saying, oh my gosh, I've seen an image of an alcohol bottle or a syringe or whatever's going to trigger me. And so that's one of the reasons we've had separate bars at events. But beyond that, we're really realizing that a lot of customers who come to our bars at events are people who don't drink for religious reasons, people who don't drink because they're on a medication where it's contraindicated to drink, people who don't drink for health reasons, people who are living, as you said, like a healthier lifestyle, and they want something that's lower in sugar, low in carbohydrates, that actually has healthy ingredients. They can look at a label or look at a beverage and identify what's in it.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point, because because I'm a person in long-term recovery. I'm focused on people early in recovery, like you said, and people that's maintaining their recovery. We want choices too when we go out. But also there are a lot of people who don't drink because of their faith, and people that don't drink because it is, like you said, contraindicated because they're on some medications. So they're welcome to come in our crowd.
That's right. And what we really hope is, I hope that when we're having this conversation, and I think you and I should meet again in 5 or 10 years, and we're having this conversation, I hope to flip the paradigm. And the paradigm is this: sometimes when I go out and I'm with people who drink and used to know me when I drank alcohol, see, I'm there again, I'm saying drinking and I'm associating it with alcohol. It's like an automatic. But somebody who says, it would say to me, what's the matter with you when I'm not drinking alcohol? What if that paradigm were flipped? And I said to the person ordering an alcoholic beverage, what's wrong with you? Actually, there's not something wrong with either, right? So for me as an alcoholic in recovery, there is something wrong if I am ordering alcohol. But for someone who's not and doesn't have that disease, it's fine for them to order alcohol. We are about creating healthy choice and creating something really fun and celebratory for those of us who don't drink alcohol.
Right. And that's a good point. Some people think that, because we abstain from alcohol, that, we just hate, the alcohol industry or, the gambling industry. But like you said, it's if you can drink responsibly, then that's great. But if when you drink, like if I drink, if things start going bad, when I use it, it just gets bad, right? It doesn't come
Right.
out good, right? So I'm one of the crowd that has to abstain in order to get a good positive outcome,
Yep.
because I have the
And we can
disease
have
addiction.
just as much fun, right? That's the other thing that's kind of interesting. I remember for myself in early recovery, I just didn't go out
Oh
because I
no.
didn't perceive there being a choice for me. I also wanted to avoid the trigger of alcohol. But, as I got into my sobriety and as I matured in different ways, I wanted to go out again. And
Right.
I wanted to celebrate, and I've learned how to party sober. I've learned how to party
Good
and
for
have
you.
just as much fun and remember it the next day, right? Um,
Yeah.
in recovery. And it's really an amazing thing. And I think, especially for people, young people in recovery, my hair wasn't white when I got sober, but I was in my late 40s. But I'm seeing so many people now in their 20s and in those years where, going out is still a thing, right? And for
Right.
them to be able to have choice and to be able to celebrate in a way that supports them as opposed as to puts them in danger is another thing that I think we're growing towards as a society.
Right. And that's so important, because addiction really isolates us. So that usually when we enter addiction, we usually enter alone. And to begin to socialize again and realize that we're not alone. You get out there at a Sobar and you start having fun and meeting other people and networking with other people, like you said, having fun, having healthy fun. That is such a surprise because when you're in active addiction, you don't think that there's life after drugs. So that's a great opportunity to meet people like-minded, in recovery, or people that, are just living that healthy lifestyle that we can connect with and have fun. So that's a great item to support, a healthy lifestyle. Thanks for your invention.
Wow, you're welcome. And some people think that it's like, someone asked me, well, like, aren't you just like wanting to create a new social scene? And I said, actually, um, perhaps we are. But the other thing is that if you look at the guiding principles for recovery that have been established by a government organization, SAMHSA, three of the guiding principles of recovery are about just what you're talking about. It's eliminating the stigma and shame around alcohol and drug abuse or addiction. I mean, and it's also having reducing that social isolation. So this is an important thing that's been proven scientifically to help us avoid relapse and support recovery as well.
Right. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought the data. That's right. So it's not just our opinion, it's been documented. That's right. We're going to break for public service announcement right now, and we'll be right back.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
I'm James Sutton, person in long-term recovery. We're back with my guest today, Beth Harbinson. So welcome back, Beth. When we left off, I didn't get a chance to ask you, how is your setup? Because when you set up for us, when we had our retreat, you had like baristas. It was two people that were actually serving us. How do you set up events?
So thanks for asking. One of our bartenders early on said, you should call us your soberistas. And
There
so
you
that
go.
is what we call our bartenders. There are soberistas. Lots of our soberistas are in recovery, and I love hiring people that are in recovery. It's a great job for former bartenders who don't want to be around alcohol anymore. But we set up at events with our soberistas and a volunteer staff. We are kind of a lean, mean organization. We've gotten some support from local foundations and individual donors as a nonprofit. And so all of the revenues that we make from our events go back into the organization to support future events, and specifically in bringing people that are early in recovery that might not be able to afford a ticket to come to something, to come to our events at no charge. So we just held a big festival called Sobar Fest, where we had 10 different drink manufacturers of healthy, interesting, zero alcohol beverages come and pour samples for our guests. And it was a big outdoor festival, and, you know, free hot pretzels and a DJ, and we had a rescue organization bring their ponies there. It was really fun. And part of what the sponsorship and support of paying clients did for that event was allow members of different halfway houses and sober living facilities to come to the event for free. And it's really cool that I have no idea who was at the event for free and who was there as a paid guest, because we don't want them to be identified, but that's what we do with our revenue, is really put it back into the organization to support people in recovery coming to events for free.
Wow, that's fantastic. So what are some of the other events that you've been successful? Has the public, you know, have they welcomed you? Have you had any pushback? How has it been, you know, marketing Sobar?
For the most part, we've been really supported. And I would say that up till now, our demand has outstripped our ability to be there. Sometimes we have to turn down events because we're, you know, a very small organization right now. We're in the process of putting together a strategic plan to really map out our next 3 to 5 years. And we're looking at all kinds of exciting things. We're looking at, should we open a bar? Should we have an actual physical bar called Sobar? How could we fit into more corporate events, to big public events, think stadiums and entertainment venues, and be a regular fixture there for guests and patrons who don't drink? So we're exploring lots of those alternatives. Prior to COVID, we were doing about 40 to 50 events a year. And then, of course, everyone stopped doing events. And so one of the things we did to pivot and continue to generate revenue, but more so to support people in recovery, was develop a product called Sobar in a Box. Because, as you know, at least in the state of Maryland, and I think DC and Virginia as well, you could order alcohol delivery to your house. And thank God that wasn't available when I was drinking. I would be broke, and the delivery people would just like know where I lived. But we developed this great product called Sobar in a Box. It's just a drink kit sent to your home that has ingredients to make your own Sobar cocktail. Kind of a fun pivot. The other thing we've done traditionally is to host a New Year's Eve event. We're going to take a break this year and do something kind of symbolic, to be determined. But last year we did our event on Zoom. It was very successful. We had Max Major, a major mentalist who actually grew up in Sykesville, who's out in Las Vegas now, do a live show. It was really cool. We had entertainment from 6 different local musicians who I was so happy to be able to support financially, especially during COVID. They were in various breakout rooms that you could go to and choose the music you wanted to listen to. And the year before, we had a live New Year's Eve event, live in person. You remember those, where we actually all got together in one place? And
just vaguely.
Hopefully not this year. We think it's too big of a risk this year to bring that many people together in person, but hopefully the New Year's Eve event will be back, because what we really like to focus on in events is drinking events. Like, when do people drink alcohol? New Year's Eve, Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day, right? Oktoberfest, a big German beer drinking event. So that's why we developed and held Sobar Fest this year. So those are the kinds of trademark events, if you will, that we're going to continue to host to provide an alternative. And we'll see what the future holds for us.
Now, Sobar in a Box, until you have a brick and mortar. So is that something I can order now?
You can visit our website. It's drinksobar.org. We have probably 10 different Sobar in a Box concoctions that we send. And we're also developing something called Sobar in a Box Holiday Edition, which is going to be a curated box that we have available this year. for people that want to have a sober bar at home, and or even people who drink alcohol and want to have a really wonderful alternative for people who don't drink, who come to their homes for a holiday celebration.
Yeah, my kids would love that for Thanksgiving. I would buy, I would, my kids would love it for Thanksgiving. Anything like that is an adventure.
There's some really good products that have been developed. I actually have connected with some manufacturers who are now making product, which we think is good enough to carry at our bars. Mocktails is one of the companies that we feature. One of the founders is in Columbia, Maryland, and I was lucky enough to meet him and take a look at their product. It's low in calories, low in sugar, 7 ingredients per bottle, and absolutely delicious. We're also partnering with a company that's manufactured here in Baltimore, which I'm excited about. It's called Zen, and they make 2 lemonade products and 2 iced tea products, which again are really healthy. And I have to say, I was at an event last night at a bar, and my non-alcoholic offering was a can of lemonade. I won't say the brand, but as I'm looking at the label, I see 3% juice. I see 45 grams of sugar for a 12-ounce serving. And I think of the wonderful Zen lemonade that I had during my lunch break yesterday, which was 12 grams of sugar, 5 different ingredients, a very healthy alternative and much better tasting. So we're really excited about some of these partnerships that we're starting to form, because I never said I want to be a drink manufacturer. So it's really nice to see like the growing number of products out in the market that are healthy, that are tasty, that are 0 alcohol, that we want to carry at our bars.
Right. Now let me ask you this, because I had a guy call me yesterday from a youth program. He asked me to be on a panel for the family of an adolescent program. Do you partnership with any schools that do sober graduation parties, or any programs for adolescents where maybe they could get your product at a discount or something when they want to have their own Christmas party because we have a recovery school in Frederick called Phoenix. So,
Yes.
It's a lot of people that have great programs for youth that probably would benefit from a partnership with you.
I love that you're bringing that up, because I think part of what we want to do as a nonprofit working to, with a mission, we're not just a bar, we're out there on a mission to help reduce the stigma and shame. And so part of it is supporting the recovery community over here, but part of it is also helping to develop a culture, especially with young people. You mentioned high school and even in middle school, to let's make something really cool and exciting for them. So some of the projects that we have on the horizon are partnering with the school system to have mixology contests where high schoolers can experiment with a whole bunch of fun ingredients and come up with the winning drink for their prom or their homecoming. We also are going to this January be partnering with 4 local colleges for Dry January, where we go out and do tastings on campus to, again, promote the fact that there's something really cool and really interesting to drink other than soda and water when you're not drinking alcohol, and to take advantage of the fact that we actually have something called Dry January now, and raising the awareness at that level. So as we grow and as we move to develop more programming and put in place some paid staff to execute our vision, I love the idea of really working with schools and younger people to work at both ends of this, because it's about prevention and awareness over here, and it's about supporting the recovery community on this side.
Right. And I was just thinking, because you said Cinco de Mayo, when I was working as an addiction counselor, the 2 times that we got a lot of people coming into treatment was, for most people in America, it was like after New Year's, everybody would drink and get high, and then after New Year's they were coming in treatment, and after Cinco de Mayo for the Latin community, right? they would wait till after Cinco de Mayo and then come to treatment for their alcoholism. And we have at Tree of Hope, we have a component where we have recovery coaches that speak Spanish and it is bilingual. And we're really trying to do some things in the Spanish speaking community. I wonder if I can get Carlos, the guy that heads that up, to talk to you about maybe doing some things at some events in the Spanish community too here in Montgomery County.
Let's do it. Let's absolutely do it. I love that. And it's funny you would mention that. I'm just now making this connection. My sobriety date is actually centered around somewhat of a holiday for me. We were talking on the break about being football fans. So I actually really celebrate my sobriety date on the Monday after the Super Bowl, because my last time drinking was Super Bowl Sunday 15 years ago. And even though I picked a sobriety date, so I actually had something on the calendar, I personally celebrated on the Monday after Super Bowl, because it was like, a big holiday, lots of drinking. And fortunately, I was able to have some clarity and come to some realization that I had the disease of alcoholism the day after the Super Bowl, because believe me, it was a good day to come to that conclusion.
Right. Now we're coming to the end of the show. We got a couple of minutes left. Is there anything that we haven't shared with the viewers that you want to get in? We got about a minute left. I have to have you back because we could talk all day.
I love it. I've really enjoyed this. Yeah, I guess there is one thing I'd like to share. So there are a lot of people in my social circle in my life that drink normally. And one of the things that I think we're becoming more conscientious about, or I'm becoming more willing to talk about or want to talk about, is to encourage people who host events during the holidays or at any time of the year to really think about welcoming your guests who don't drink alcohol. Instead of making them the afterthought, think about putting something out on your bar that is available for them, that's just as exciting, just as celebratory, just as special as whatever alcoholic choices you might have out there, because you never know who might come to your event or your home who wants an alternative but doesn't want to ask you for it. So that's what I'd like to leave viewers with, just that thought that there are a lot of people out there that choose not to drink, and let's support each other by offering that choice to them.
Great close. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us, Beth. And I'm going to definitely order, my Sobar for Thanksgiving. This has been Road to Recovery. This is James Sutton, and I'll see you on the Road to Recovery.